All right, gentlemen, we have our game plan. All we got to do is score one goal and not let the goal difference get past two. If we can do that, it's already better than Bayern and Real did. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Blues and Stripes. So we are looking ahead today to the Sunday final against PSG. Even the most optimistic fan has to be looking at this match and thinking, we don't have much of a chance here. So with that being said, this is sort of a free hit for Maresca for me, unless he does something absolutely crazy, like starting Nkuku up top over Pedro, Delap, and Jackson, or playing Dewsbury Hall for some reason. For the most part, most of what he does in this match, I'm not going to hold the result against him because this is a tough test. PSG are probably the best team in the world at the moment, and it's going to take probably a bit of luck and probably a bit of tactical ingenuity from Maresca, which I don't see happening, to give us much of a chance. That being said, a couple days ago, I was thinking, it's fine. We don't have to win this match. It's not the be-all, end-all. What we've done very well to get here in the first place. But then I just hear all these people talking about this match and all these rivals that want to hate on us because of how we got here. I'm hearing this PSG fan and this Real fan on, I think it's DR Sports, just talking all this shit about us. And now I feel like I want us to win just to shut some of these people up, because I have full respect for how PSG have run the club this season, how well they've done at getting out a lot of the big egos and actually focusing on building a good team. But that one PSG fan was such an ignorant idiot that now I just want to beat them so he can shut up. I think Villa's a better team than Chelsea. Oh, I wouldn't take any of Chelsea at PSG right now. But shut up. Villa's not better than us, and you would 100% take Caicedo and Palmer and even Cucurella if you had the chance. The lack of respect for our club at the moment, despite the fact we finished top four, we won the Conference League last season, we're in the final of this Club World Cup. Like, the disrespect toward the South American teams is real. Oh, they haven't played anybody. How disrespectful to Palmeiras and to Fluminense. Not only that, Benfica must be sitting there going, we're a Champions League side. We're not terrible. But anyways, looking forward to this match. A couple of the things that are going to make this difficult to predict the lineup and also the result is we do have a couple of players that the fitness is up in the air. Now, I'm recording this on Friday, so the team news may come out tomorrow as far as who's available and who's not. A couple of the ones that I know are iffy are James and Lavia, of course, because they always are. And Caicedo, he did come off late in that match against Fluminense, was hobbling a little bit, maybe had something going on. So once again, just like with my Fluminense preview, I will look at the team and give my preferred 11, my expected 11, but also talk about some of the changes that I expect if those players are not available. First of all, keeper, of course, it's going to be Sanchez because we don't have a better option at the moment. Right back, of course, I would prefer Reece James. I think he's going to start if he's fully fit. Center back pairing, I would prefer to see Colwill and Chalobah. I think the two of them are very good at tracking down runners that get in behind, which PSG love to do. Tosin doesn't have as much pace, so I don't feel like he's going to be as useful in this match. That being said, what do I expect? I don't know. I do expect Colwill to start, but it could be either Tosin or Chalobah depending on what Maresca's feeling on the day. And then, of course, left back, the only option we have is Cucurella, so he's going to start there. Into the midfield, this is where I'm going to get a little bit more in-depth with my lineup. So what I prefer is similar to the Fluminense. I want it to be Caicedo and Lavia, Palmer as the 10, and I want Fernandez kind of as an 8 on the left side, but he cuts inside more often, and Cucurella can provide the width over there, presuming that we have James in defense, and then Neto on the right. And that lineup, I think, is going to change whether we're in attack or in defense. I think if we're in defense, you've got Fernandez, Caicedo, and Lavia all sitting there in the 3. I think Palmer stays just ahead of him. Neto can come inside a little bit to put some pressure alongside whoever's up top. And then once we're in the attack, Neto slides out wide. I think Fernandez gets up a little bit. Palmer slides a little bit more to the right, which he prefers to be over there. And then Caicedo and Lavia sort of hold the midfield. Lavia stepping forward a little bit more, but mainly just there to break off any counterattack that they tried to spring on us, which we saw against Real Madrid. They can do it so quickly. I feel like if we have all three of those midfielders available, there's a good chance Palmer could play out on the left for Maresca, but I could also see him maybe moving Neto over to the left side and Palmer on the right, Fernandez sort of being more so through the middle. But I do expect those 5 to be our midfield if they're all fit, because those are our best options at the moment. And then up top, I do expect and prefer Pedro to start after that last match. As far as who I expect to come off the bench, that's a lot more difficult. I mean, Delap is definitely a lot more of a physical presence in there, but it also depends on if PSG are going to sit a bit deeper and try to break on us, or are they going to step out a bit more and provide more space in behind. If they do, that's more so Jackson's wheelhouse. So I think it'll really depend on how PSG are playing against us at the time, whether it'll be a better idea to bring on Jackson or Delap. Obviously, a lot of the rumors are that Jackson is leaving, but there's always been rumors that Jackson's leaving ever since he got the red against Newcastle. Basically, all the Chelsea fans just want him out, and so all the media are picking up on that, and they're just stirring the pot, I think, a little bit more. There could be a chance that Chelsea are looking to get rid of him, but personally, hearing the interview that he gave, I think it was last week, talking about wanting to push himself, wanting to fight for a spot back, some of that could have just been words. But I do think that shows he's not wanting to leave the club. He is wanting to try to push himself here and be successful here. And that's good to hear. And I really wish Chelsea fans would give him a little bit more respect than they are, but I guess I can't talk much because I don't give Maresca a lot of respect. But outside of that sub, I also expect a lot of the similar subs that we've seen before. Gusto and James will probably swap at some point in the second half. Whoever starts, the other one will come on. Santos will probably come on in the midfield at some point. If Nkuku doesn't start, he'll probably come on. Dewsbury Hall will probably come on as well. So basically, a lot of the subs that we've already seen before. It's not what I want to see. I want to see the likes of George maybe getting a chance to come on. I'd even like to see both Delap and Jackson come on as a sub in the second half and maybe play the two of them off of each other just to see what that looks like and see if, especially if we're down at the time, maybe give us a chance to get a way back into the match. But knowing Maresca and seeing how he's managed up until this point, I expect it to be a lot of the same of what we've seen over the past few matches, which against PSG definitely could come back to haunt us if we're ahead by one and he brings on the likes of Gusto and Dewsbury Hall and Nkuku. They could easily just run us over at that point. But now to quickly talk about some of the adjustments that will be made depending on who's available. So if James is unavailable, or if he's unavailable to start, I expect it'll be Gusto. I still think Achimpong is a better player than Gusto. I know it's going to be tough to throw a young player into a game like this when he hasn't played for the last few matches. I just think he's got so much more to his game than Gusto does. And I think on top of that, where Gusto, you're going to want to invert him because you don't want him defending in this match. I think for Achimpong, you can rely on him defensively for the most part, which allows you to push Cucurella forward and he can be more useful up there. But again, I know it's not a good idea to have a young player like Achimpong just suddenly start this match when he's not started the last few or even played in the last few. And I just think it's really disappointing and a bit of a failure on Maresca's part to not get him more integrated up until now, especially after Gusto's performance against Flamengo. There's no reason he should still be playing. Into the midfield, Lavia, Caicedo are the two that are at risk. If one of them is out, I prefer Santos to be in there. I expect if James is fit to play, I expect him to be moved in there over Santos first. If he's not, then Santos will play. If both of them, Lavia and Caicedo, are out, this is where I feel like things will be a little bit different. I expect it'll be Santos and Fernandez sitting deeper, and then probably we'll see Nkuku on the left side. Or maybe if Gusto's playing, he'll be on the right again, like we saw in the last match, which made no sense, but sure, whatever. But it's very much up in the air based on who's available. But that's my preferred 11. What do I expect from this match? I mean, I don't expect a win. I would love a win. It would be great. It would shut a lot of people up. It would finally earn us maybe some respect. I don't think there's much we can do. There are people already talking down this tournament. Like, oh, if Chelsea win, it doesn't mean they're the best in the world. So even if we win this match, I do not expect them to respect us for it. The only fans that I've seen giving us some respect have been Man U fans, and that's just because they know their club is so in the dirt that all they have to do is look at the rival teams and how they're doing, and they can look at it objectively and say, yeah, I mean, Chelsea's doing good, Liverpool is doing good, but all the rival fans around us, they do not want to acknowledge that we are doing a good job here, and especially the ones that were not in this tournament, like Liverpool and Arsenal. They hate the fact that we're here. So ultimately, it doesn't matter what we do here. They are not going to respect the fact that we have beaten the best team in the world. But looking at what I expect from this match, I do think it's going to be a lot closer than Real Madrid made it. And just looking at that match, it did not feel like Madrid was up for it at all. They looked slow. They looked off it. There was a lack of focus from the players. And I know some of that may have had to do with the fact that they were missing a few players, but even some of the players that have been playing, they just did not look at the same level. PSG seems so much more ready for that match, and it showed from the outset. And for PSG, I will say, I think we've seen whenever they go up against another top side, I think they know how to set up to play against those top sides to really put them to the sword if they're not fully awake and fully ready to go. So I do expect us to be a little bit more prepared than Real were, but looking at the quality and the depth that PSG have, I think it's going to be pretty tightly contested in the first half. Hopefully. But I think the second half is really where it'll show that PSG just have a bit more to them on the whole of it. I think some of their subs are going to come on and be a lot more effective than the subs that we've got coming off our bench. So for me personally, I could see it being 0-0 for the first half. Maybe in the second half, they nick an early one and then subs come on, and I think that's where we could give up a second. But I wouldn't be surprised if we did nick a late goal, just because we do have a bit of resilience to us right now that I think we have seen through some of these matches. So I could see us fighting all the way to the end and maybe getting a late goal to try to make it interesting, but ultimately I do think PSG is just going to have a little bit too much for us on the day. And like I said before, if we are going to get beat by a better team, I'm glad it's a team that I've respected this year, that actually went out and did good business and are exciting to watch, and not a boring, dull, cheat team like Real Madrid. But with that being said, I'm still nervously excited because this is our first chance to really test ourselves against a top team in quite a while. And whether we win or lose, I still think this tournament has been a very good progression step for us. And I think it sets us up really well for the season. A lot of these players we got coming in, a lot of these players that we still have here, I think there's a lot of lessons that we learned in this tournament that I'm hoping we can take into next season. But with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you expect? What are you hoping for from this match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea previews, reviews, and talks. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.